Is the house worth the hassle? Dustin McCrary, divorce attorney and founder of the law office of Dustin McCrary, discusses what decisions you might want to make with respect to your family home during a divorce. Hi, I'm Dustin McCrary, and I'm glad you've joined me today. If you've arrived at this position of our website, you may be contemplating a divorce, or you may find yourself in the midst of one. If you've arrived at this portion of our page in particular, you may have questions about the process of dividing property during a divorce. If so, you're not alone, as this is, of course, one of the biggest issues that people face during a divorce. And when it comes to dividing property, there is perhaps no issue more emotionally charged than the issue of who will get to keep the family home. This is entirely understandable. After all, home is where family memories are made, and it's a place of deep emotional attachment. All this leads to the question, how do you decide who gets the home, if anyone gets it at all? Is it worth it to get into a long and drawn-out battle over the house? Or is it better to cut your losses, sell the home, split the proceeds, and move on to making your next memories somewhere new? Quite honestly, there are no easy answers. If you decide to sell the home, then you both share the risk of any unexpectedly low sale prices, home repairs that must be made prior to sale, or other unanticipated events. You can split the proceeds or losses and move on with your life. That's certainly an option that's worth considering. In other cases, however, one or both spouses are simply too attached to the house to consider selling it, or they simply believe that it's best for their children to stay in the home. If that's the case, the first thing to do is sit down and have an honest and open conversation about which spouse will keep the home. In an ideal world, the two of you will be able to reach an agreement about what is best for your family, and though it'll be difficult, one spouse will leave willingly and find a new home elsewhere. In many cases, one spouse will decide to buy the other spouse's interest in the home. This often works out well for many couples, but in this situation, it's important to thoroughly consider the value of the home and take the necessary steps prior to completing the buyout to ensure that you know what it's worth and what you're really taking on. Have a title search done, if necessary, to make sure there are no hidden liens or debts associated with the home that you may not know about. Make sure that there aren't any major repairs, like a new roof or a new air conditioning unit, that you might be responsible for after the buyout. If so, you may want to factor those things into the amount that you agree to pay. As we all know, however, not all things work out in an ideal way. Sometimes during a divorce, emotions are simply too raw, and the situation is too volatile to allow for cooperative negotiation and reaching an agreement together. In these cases, the best option may be to let the court decide who gets the home. When a court makes this decision, it will try to divide property in the most equitable and fair way possible. That will likely mean that if one spouse receives the home, the court will try to award assets of equivalent value to the other spouse. Fairness is the goal. But it's important to remember that if you leave it up to the court, you'll be stuck with whatever decision the court makes. Regardless of who ends up with the home, it's important to remember that even though the spouse who gets to stay in the home is receiving something he or she wants, it will likely not be without its own share of difficulties. The spouse will become responsible for home repairs and maintenance, utility bills, lawn care, and the like. Even though caring for a home may have seemed easy for two people, it can be more difficult for one. It's important to think through those things if you're the spouse who ends up staying in the home. On the other side of the coin, if you're the spouse who's moving out, it's best to completely disconnect from the house, emotionally and practically. Make sure that you remove your name from the mortgage and the utility bills following the divorce. Contact your HOA if necessary, and let them know that you've moved out. Change the names as necessary on any insurance policies or other official documentation. These items may seem technical and tedious, but they're important. Divorce isn't easy, and issues like who gets the family home can definitely be difficult and emotionally complicated. The good news, though, is that with the right legal assistance, it can be manageable. I'm here to help you through the divorce process, and I encourage you to call our office so that we might learn how we can help you soon. Thanks for watching today.